Mr. Grunberg.
Yes.
Dr. Early.
Here.
Mr. Williams here. Mr. Roscoe.
Here.
Mrs. Rayford. Mrs. Richardson.
Present.
And Mrs. Grunberg.
Here.
Could all please stand? Dan couldn't be here, he let me know, so he asked if Miss Cassie would lead us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just so you know, I like to mess with people on occasion. Dan did not ask that I do that. He did tell me he wasn't going to be here. Sometimes I like to just put people on the spot. Okay, next on the agenda, we have approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion that we approve the agenda in written form.
Second.
Questions, comments? Please call the roll. Or vote with me.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mrs. Grunberg.
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg.
Yes.
Dr. Early.
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Richardson.
Yes.
Okay, next we have consent agenda. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I make a motion to support, no.
Approved.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Comments, questions? Please call the vote.
Mrs. Grunberg.
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg.
Yes.
Dr. Early.
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Richardson.
Approve and support.
Next we have superintendent's report. Superintendent Gibson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, and for those of you joining at home. This is the superintendent's report this evening, November 13th. Again, we continue to celebrate those moments that matter in the lives of our students. So we'd like to recognize all of our veterans. Thank you to Forest Park Elementary School, who honored the Veterans Day with a wall of honor. Students were invited to share photos about themselves, their families, and those who served in the military. We also have a number of board members who were formerly in the service, and we thank them for their service to our country. Honor Roll celebration, which I believe Principal Yards will be highlighting as well. But a big shout out to Chef Shu and the students of the culinary arts who helped to create this lovely breakfast in honor of the Honor Roll students. Hands-on learning, here you have pictures of Mrs. Hess's preschoolers. Across the district, there were a number of teachers who took the opportunity to use the holiday and teach children more about pumpkins, and tons of excitement had across the district. Thank you so much to Rose Hess. She also helped to create glue and starch that kids learned about from pumpkins. We'd like to acknowledge our partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. Our Boys and Girls Club is on the campus here of East Point High School in our former alternative center. Parents, did you know you can get a full year of after-school care for $25? The club opens up at the conclusion of the school day and runs till 7 p.m. So any families interested in club registration, this QR code should take you to the club's website, and you can also stop in after school at the Boys and Girls Club. Substitute teachers are wanted. East Point Community Schools has raised our rates for daily substitute teachers. Our long-term certified rate is $200. Our long-term non-certified rate for those subs who take on permanent positions is $175 per day. The premier building sub rate is $150, and our daily sub rate rate is now up to $140 per day. If you are interested in being a substitute teacher for East Point Community Schools, we would encourage you to apply through EDGE's staff and or reach out to Human Resources who can help you to navigate it. We are also welcoming back any retired district employees. If you are a retired teacher from East Point Community Schools and are interested in subbing or supporting a long-term vacancy, please reach out to Human Resources and ask about daily rates for East Point retired teachers. Our community newsletter will be coming out. Please keep an eye out in early December. We will be launching our first community newsletter that will be delivered to all members of the community, regardless of if you choose East Point Community Schools or if you have any school-age children. We will be updating the community regularly on our bond progress, on construction projects funded through our sinking fund, on upcoming events, and celebrating all of the work of our children and teachers throughout East Point Community Schools, so our community members can expect our first community newsletter delivered to your mailboxes in December. The community will also see a second newsletter mailing in June. We will have a presentation from Principal Todd Yarch later and added it in, but I'd like to just bear with me very quickly because I moved a slide to the end on accident. Our upcoming events. November 15th is our financial aid night here at East Point High School. We do have Thanksgiving break, November 22nd to the 24th. Our next Board of Education meeting is the evening of November 27th. Gleaners food distribution will be December 7th, 11:30 a.m. at East Point Middle School. And we will have no school for a holiday break, December 25th through January 5th. And that concludes the superintendent's report.
I just wanted to ask something for clarification. Boys and Girls Club, is there certain ages?
Yes, Stephanie Fleming, do you recall the ages? I believe it is 6 through high school.
18.
Say it one more time, 18. Yep, 6 to 18 is the Boys and Girls Club. We will be
Age or
working,
the grade?
age.
6 to 18?
We do work with families on helping with transportation to get to the Boys and Girls Club. Families would have to wait for a few weeks while that transportation schedule adjusts and kicks in, but we are working to support after-school programming and participation at the Boys and Girls Club. Thank you.
Next, we have hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard? Does anyone wish to be heard? Seeing none, we'll open and close it at 6:39. Next, discussion action, human resources, new hires, EFE. Is there a motion to approve the new hires as presented?
Motion to approve the new hires as presented.
Support.
Any discussion? Please call the vote. No, this is just A1, so everybody.
Yeah.
Please call the vote.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Dr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Gruber,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Ms. Richardson,
Yes.
and Mrs. Gruber.
Yes.
Okay, next we have non-affiliate. Is there a motion to approve non-affiliates?
I make a motion to support non-affiliated new hires.
Support.
Questions, comments? Please call the roll.
Dr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mr. Gruber,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Richardson,
Yes.
and Mrs. Gruber.
Yes.
Okay, before we move on behalf of the board, I'd just like to welcome all the new employees to the district. Look forward to having you here. Next, we have curriculum and instruction. These are the juicy stuff now.
Hi, yes, please, thank you. I'd like to invite Principal Todd Yarch and Assistant Principal Catherine Davis to the podium, and they will present information about East Point Secondary Campus. Principal Yarch.
Thank you and good evening. Thank you for allowing us to come and speak with you. We've been doing some exciting things at the high school and on the secondary campus, and one of the things that we were most excited about, one of the things that I was excited about when coming to East Point was the strategic plan, and the conciseness and focus of it was something that was an absolute draw because it focuses on the students, and that's exactly the focus that we take every day at the high school. So one of the things that Superintendent Gibson always speaks about is living into our strategic plan. And that's something that we've kind of focused on a few of the goals that we think are the most important right now to moving the school forward. And that's goal 1 and goal 2, student growth and achievement, where we need to move our kids, not just growth-wise, but have that growth turning into proficiency, where we're getting our kids to grade level so they're able to leave East Point High School reading at the level that they should be at. So those are some of the things that we really are focused on, and getting the achievement gap closed between those students. Also, one of the main things that I feel was extremely important here, and even talking to teachers, is increasing the amount of honors, AP, and rigorous programs that our students want and need to succeed outside of our high school. So those are some of the things that we're completely focused on right now. And then also the learning environments, focusing on absenteeism and chronic absenteeism, but also changing our mindset about discipline and behavior to a more of a restorative justice, less punitive type of, system, where our students are able to talk through their issues and talk through their problems before we're going to suspend them right away. Also, getting into the classrooms and making them more engaging and making them something that are exciting for students, and also letting them have a voice in how they learn, because learning from them is how we're going to best be able to teach them, and personalizing their instruction. So the next slide is going to be, how are we implementing the strategic plan? So we have, which you heard from Lisa Petrella, we have new curriculum in ELA and math, which our teachers have been working very hard and are very excited. We're very excited about it because of the different aspects that it has. It has an online component, it has a hard copy component, it has everything that students need to be able to succeed. Also, our close and critical reading strategy, which we've paired up with the MISD to help us really kind of hone in our students' reading skills, but also focusing on rigor and appropriate grade level. So sometimes we have to push our kids, even if it means that they're not going to be as receptive right away, but we've got to get the rigor up so they can actually get into the higher level math, English, science, and social studies. Also, grade level content area data. So really kind of focusing in on how we're doing at grade level instead of by content. Having teachers in different grade levels talking together, trying to figure out what's best for each student. And then also making data-driven instruction part of what we do. Data should be everything that we're using, so we're attacking what our students need and not just doing things that make it easier on the students, attacking the skill deficit that they need. Also, one of the things that I've implemented that with the help of some of our teachers that are already doing it are student data talks. A lot of times we will, as educators, talk about data and talk about what students are doing, but we don't sit down and actually have a discussion with students so they know where they are. It's hard to hit a goal when you don't know what it is. So one of the things that we've been doing, and we've done a session during professional development to really focus on that. And I mentioned earlier, culture and climate. Having a solutions-based, positive reinforcement, less focus on punitive actions, has shown that those are the types of schools that have sustainability. Suspending a student for anything does not always create the type of environment that you want to have. It's just a punitive action. So dedicated and consistent restorative justice process, focus on traits listed in the adult graduate portrait for our staff and for our students, and celebrate staff with weekly shout-outs. Student engagement and ownership. So we started the year by having grade level meetings, meeting with student leadership, and having the dialogue that we need so the students feel like this is their school, so they have the pride in that. You know, celebration and recognition for outstanding work, which you saw with the honor roll celebration, in and out of the classroom. So then that leads us to where we are with our fall assessment data on NWEA. So this slide kind of shows where we are in the last 2 years. Not too much difference at all. It just kind of gives us an idea of where we are in comparison to where we have been in the past. And these are growth and proficiency numbers. The growth numbers are they're actually okay. They need to be better, but we are trying to focus more on the proficiency because that's getting the students to the grade level that they need to be at. So we still have a lot of work to do there. But with the growth numbers where they are, we just have to speed up the process and double the amount of growth to get the students to the proficiency level that they need to be. And then here's the next slide, is a breakdown of the data from the growth data for each grade level in the high school. And you can see where, you know, the 9th grade, we have a decent start with them, but this is our baseline data for the fall. So 51% showed growth in reading and 49% showed growth in math. And some of the things that we're doing are, you know, PD and training on growth versus proficiency, intervention classes and after-school tutoring, data talk with students, the close and critical reading, school-wide data dive and analysis. Everything we do when we start talking about our student learning has to do with their data, and continued collaboration and training on the new curriculum, which is something that is going extremely well, and we're really happy with how our math and English teachers have approached that. And grade level collaboration and articulation. I think that's something that's extremely important, that the teachers within a certain grade level know how each student works, how each student learns, and the skills that they need to move forward. Proficiency, that's where we've got a lot of work to do. And that's exactly what we have to, and that's the way we have to approach it. We have to kind of move faster with growth so we can get our students to being proficient. And that's going to take, that's going to take just a focused effort on attacking their skills that they need in order to grow quicker. So as part of these, go to the next slide and come back to that. There we go. So as part of the engagement piece, we took a trip to Nashville for the Academies of Nashville study visit and learned about what all the schools there have done to really increase the amount of rigor, but also the relevancy of school, where students are actually engaging in project-based learning, personalized learning, and really kind of focused on their careers while they're in school. So focusing math on a medical career, or focusing reading on communications career. To keep it relevant for students, it was an excellent trip. We had a great team, and we learned a lot about especially how to engage kids, because everything that we saw when we went into the different schools had to do with the engagement of the students, how much they were excited to be there. They felt like school mattered, which is something that we, as we think about the next steps for East Point High School, what do we want our school to look like? What do we want it to be? We want to address these types of things. And that creates the environment where students want to be here all the time. They have pride in the school, and I think those are the types of things that we learned from this Academies of Nashville visit, and it's something that we look to bring back as part of the instruction and curriculum that we have here. So I'm going to, it's Superintendent Gibson, you can move up one slide. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to turn it over to Catherine to talk about our honor roll process.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Last Friday, we sent out
90 invitations to students in grades 8 through 12 who earned a 3.0 or higher on their first quarter marking period grades. Our breakfast was planned, served, and hosted by our culinary arts students led by Chef Candace Shoemake. Students had wonderful things to say. They were super excited to get their invitations to attend to this breakfast. The food was delicious. The chatter was wonderful to hear, the excitement in their voices. It was quite an honor to be able to celebrate so many students who achieved this successful milestone in their first card marking. We are looking to do something as well for quarter 2. In October, we took 25 students to Manufacturing Day at Waldeloy in Warren, Michigan. Students there were able to learn about careers in manufacturing, design, and other related fields. Waldeloy creates quite a few parts for spacecraft. And then our tour was highlighting the different processes used to create these different parts for spacecraft and encourage student questions, discuss career opportunities available, as well as internships and apprenticeships that would be available to our graduates shortly after graduating and attending a couple of classes at a local community college. I know phone numbers were exchanged between some of the Waldeloy people and our counselor, Rebecca Sarisa, and information was maintained so that we can get kids on this career path who are really interested. So it was a great experience for all of those students. And then at the beginning of November, Kaya Gallagher took 30 juniors and seniors over to Grand Valley State University for a day-long tour. They toured the modern campus, they explored the variety of housing available, including regular dorms and housing for upperclassmen. Students were offered on-site admissions if they had all of their transcripts and things up to date and with them. And since the visits to the college, they have reported an increase in applications for Grand Valley State University, so that was a great job. And there are more college tours to come here as the semester and the rest of the year continue. And then finally, our moving forward piece. Some of our student-focused items as we move forward here are to continue to create a culture of learning and student ownership, both in the classroom and in the school community as a whole. To continue to promote EHS pride and belonging. To find more activities to keep students on campus after the school day. Unfortunately, most of our students scatter fairly quickly, and there isn't a whole lot of opportunities currently for them in the school, and we are working to improve that. We're also looking to provide more post-secondary options through increased CTE and career exploration options, as well as increased AP classes and dual credit options, and then to create more student leadership opportunities for those who have expressed the interest.
And then for the staff focus, always focusing on learning and instruction. That's the main focus that we look as an entire school. You know, create a professional culture which emphasizes student learning and success, project-based and personalized learning, innovative and engaging instruction using project-based learning, promote and encourage professional learning opportunities for staff, and recruit and coach the next generation of teachers and leaders. And those are some of the things that we are focused on right now so we can continue to grow and create an East Point High School that attracts more students in the area to come to.
What questions might the board have for Principal Yarch and Assistant Principal Davis?
Great presentation. I have a question about you said you're looking to increase the proficient numbers as well as the other numbers. What steps are we taking to see that gets done? Is there a program in place that you have?
Well, a lot of it is actually just looking at data and addressing the needs where we see them. So looking at the different standards and grading each teacher trained on looking at their own data so they can actually look at each standard, where students need it the most, and those are the standards that we're approaching. We need to increase, right now, projected growth is basically at a 1 year projection. We need to up that to 1.5 to 2 years projection to get the proficiency up. So part of the program is through PLCs and through our BTN of using all the time that we have to train and coach our teachers to be able to understand their own data and their student data and know which standards they're able to approach to increase student learning.
Okay. Another question I had was with the breakfast that you had, you said all of that was prepared by the culinary department?
Yes.
Do we have anything in place to get an incentive for other students to reach that 3-point mark so they can attend next time? So instead of 90, it can be 180?
Yes, we have been doing that too, but we actually, for the second quarter one, we are going to have it separate. So students that have a 3.0 in the second quarter, so maybe they didn't do that well first quarter, they're not penalized for that. And then the semester cumulative GPA celebration, we're going to invite parents to as well. And I think a lot of that comes through just continued celebrations of kids so they know that, but also when we have grade level meetings, letting them know how we're going to celebrate them. So giving as many opportunities as possible to celebrate kids is something that we're really planning on doing a lot more of.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. You said that you had student leaders. How, do you have a student council, or what kind of leadership do you have?
So the student leaders that we met with were mostly juniors and seniors, led by some of our top juniors and seniors, and I kind of just met with them in my office and kind of introduced myself. But they've taken on those leadership roles with with Paula Cardinelli and Diane Peters, who have been leading that with them. We do have student officers that will be coming, but a lot of it was led by the juniors and seniors. They were the ones that kind of put a lot of homecoming together, and really kind of letting them take the ownership of the school is something that we are really trying to promote, especially with the juniors and the seniors. I think that's our
Is it open to all the kids?
Yes,
Classes?
yes.
And my other question was, how many clubs do we have? Do we have any after-school clubs?
One or two. We are actually partnering with the Boys and Girls Club.
Right.
We just had them come present to our staff too, which got everybody really excited about the opportunities that we have over there as well as our CTE programs kind of partnering with them too. So it is something that we look at as something to really partner with that will be a win for everybody, but we would like to see more clubs started here.
Okay.
My question is, based on our numbers, how far proficient are we away from like the state averages for the state numbers? Because you didn't have it.
I know that when we look at it, we're looking at our CSI goals, and we need to improve by 1% and 3%. So those are the goals that we're looking towards right now. The state numbers are probably more out of reach as far as the average numbers that we have for the state. But what we're looking to is to at least grow by 1% this year, 3% over time.
Okay, leave it there.
Well, I have a couple. First off, I want to comment on the college and manufacturing tour. I'm glad that you exposed them to both, and I think it clearly demonstrates that the more experiential experiences.
No.
But anyways, the more experiences our kids are involved in, the higher their interest is going to be. Because like you said, you've got more interest in GBSU after, the fact. Also, based on a couple of the questions, you might realize that we just did get back from the conference, and a big part of that conference, some of the breakout sessions and things like that were about raising student voices and student engagement and things like that.
No.
They would not be able to vote on any issue, but they would be able to sit at the table and engage verbally with us if they have any questions or comments. Because we used to do that, and it hasn't been years since we've done it. But we have seen to where it is happening. You can't hear me?
No.
Okay, well, I was just asking the board if they would have an issue with a non-voting student representative sitting at the table with us. Obviously, they can't vote on any of the issues that we do or approve of anything, but they would at least be able to engage us if they had any questions on some of the topics we were covering. You know, and we used to have that for years when I first got on the board, and it's been a long time since we've had it. And it's strange to me because it seems like some of these, not just in our district, but in some of these other districts as well, some of these things we kind of let slide by the wayside that we used to do are very important. And we really need to get back to doing some of these things. Students having a voice in their education is huge. You know, and sometimes we kind of, I think over the years, it kind of got to where in education in general, not just here, but everywhere, was kind of like, oh, we got it, you know, we'll kind of handle it. But now it's starting to come back to where it's really starting to see the value. I think it was a Dearborn made a nice sized presentation on and how they're running their student government and they have their student voices engaged. But we'll share that out with the superintendent because we have time set aside to do that, and we'll get that information back. But that's all I had a question about because as far as I'm concerned, if you want to move forward with that, you can. If there's a student rep that wants to come sit up here, they can feel free to have our meeting and we'll just make another chair at the table for them and we'll figure out how to fit them into the discussion.
Yeah, I was wondering, do you have a protocol somewhere, how they're gonna be selected?
Well, I would expect that they would go ahead and do that, decide how that would happen. Quite often, what it used to be here was, I can't remember.
It was student council.
The president of the student council or the president's senior class or something like that. And not only did they have a voice in the issues we were talking about, but it also gave them the opportunity to tell us things they have going on in their high school. You know, so they could say, we got homecoming coming up, homecoming dance, parade, you know, things, whatever we have going on. And they could make public announcements as to what they have going on in their high school. And it gives them a little bit more ownership too, right?
There used to be where the students would have a requirement to come to the board meeting and have assigned the agenda for them to prove that they had been here also.
Well, we also used to do shadowing at one time too.
Yeah.
Where every board member would have a student that shadowed them at the meeting. Quite often, we would actually take off during the day, or if we had time available during the day, they would hold a mock board meeting during the day. They would have their own agenda, and we would just come and observe their mock board meeting, them playing our roles. And they would be set up, and it was really interesting to see, because some of the agenda items that they had were quite different than ours. They're still valuable, you know, so it was just kind of neat to see them, and it gets them more into leadership, because we also, as a board, we also have to make sure that, you know, we have enough board members, you know, and recruiting board members and developing leaders in our community, so those leaders will step forward later on, for whether it be governance in our organization or governance in the city organization, you know, whatever it may be, we need to foster that as well too. So this is really big. I don't want to dominate too much. Let's please move on because I think we're almost towards the end of the meeting.
I have last question. This is going to be biased, and you'll see why. In the presentation, there was college, there was like skill trades, there was no armed forces.
Well,
It
that
was-
is actually something we're working towards coming soon with our.
It is coming soon. Okay. I'm a veteran, that's why.
The cabinet team actually this morning finalized the job description for the JROTC posting, and so we anticipate that being up soon. We continue to work with the United States Army on the parameters for JROTC. I'm sorry, the Marines have not reached out yet. But the leadership opportunities in the Army's JROTC program may be applicable. I understand that you may have a different feeling from that, but yes, it's in the works.
Yes, something we're really excited
One
about.
question, and I have a question on that. When did we originally apply for that?
So the original application for JROTC was made by then Superintendent Bruce Kefchin 20 years ago. And the Army called us last year and let us know that we were approved. So the wait list is about 20 years.
Wow.
It's been there, we asked for it a long time ago, it just, sometimes it goes move awful slow. Okay, is that it?
No.
Okay. No, I'm talking about that.
Oh.
Are we all done with our questions?
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wonderful presentation. Okay, next we have the FOIA information.
Thank you so much. As the Board of Education knows, the district team has been reviewing our administrative guidelines and also reviewing and revising policy. Last month, we brought forward our Title IX policy and procedures. This month, we bring forward to you the Freedom of Information Act, policies and procedures that have been updated and will be posted after the board takes action. Then later in December, we will bring forward the total package of administrative guidelines, removing Title IX, which we will have taken care of, and FOIA from that package. Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the adoption of the revised FOIA procedure and written summary?
Place for a motion to approve the adoption of the revised Freedom of Information Act, FOIA.
Support? Comments, questions?
Mike?
Okay, please call the vote.
Okay, Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Dr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Richardson,
Yes.